Hello, my name is Janelle Burgess. I'm presenting my presentation today. My voice might be a little shaky. I've never done one of these. and I might mispronounce some words because I don't really know how to say some of them. But I'm gonna try my best. Colonizers misappropriated the Native American culture. Intro. Today, I will be presenting what you see on the screen. I'm giving you some of the definitions, and with the American popular music, also with the movie Real Engines. Back long before all this started, it began in 1773, where some of the colonizers actually dressed up as Mohawk Indians to dump all the tea into the Boston Harbor. This was to protest, but it still gave the Indians a bad look then. And it sucks because Indians were looked at such savage ways. The colonizers have always done types of weird things to disrespect, make fun of the language, or even try to steal their culture just for their own entertainment. Music-wise, from Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills, riding through the dust clouds and barren wastes, galloping hard on the plains, chasing the Redskins back to their holes, fighting them at their own game, Murder for Freedom, The Stab in the Back, Women and Children of Carrots Attack. That, to me, the song picks out what Indians go through, but still kind of feels a little bit of racist, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more in the other slides. Singing red face. Singing red face is a term used a lot. What I know is basically it's when a colonizer takes a character of a Native American and uses it as a racial thing. This term, in a way, is still used today. Racial profiling, they mock the language, songs, pretend to be Native. They sing songs for their own entertainment and their own racial things that they are. Like this in the picture, there's schools that actually have Native mascots, and the kids dress up as Native Americans, the war bonnets, paint, and mocking the Native American culture, which to them, some might not see it as racist and it's just tradition for their school, but all Native Americans see it as being disrespectful, and that's what it is just all disrespectful. More example of singing red face. Iron Eye Cody. He was a he was a he was an actual Italian man. He grew up in his childhood wrong, thinking he was Native American or had Native American descent in him. He married a Native American woman, and he played as a Native American in movies. Most seen him as mocking Indians. Like he was mocking the Native American culture, knowing that he really wasn't a Native American. Music of Singing Red Face. A popular one is Your Squaw is on the Warpath by Miss Loretta Lynn. At the time, things were different back then compared to now or when she started making other music. But this song was depicting Native American racial slurs and imitating ridiculous noise that they think Native Americans make. They had little chants. They were in the song. You can hear the chants and her just having these racial slurs in them, which is crazy. Next is the racial antipathy, or pathy, or however you say it. It's a direct hate towards a person or a group in a race. That's what I had put in my paper. Like, example music, This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie. Some might think this is a patriotic song, and so, but most don't think that. Some of the Native Americans actually think that this song was trying to assume the erase of the Native Americans, and this land was actually not the colonizers' land. It was actually Native Americans, the first Native Americans. This is their land and will always be their land to begin with. So there are, like I said, this land is your land. It makes people think that Native Americans weren't here first. This little meme, it says, "Make America white again." America wasn't white before, and that's how Trump supporters and people who are racist and hate other race, like the Native American culture or the Native American race, they think that this land wasn't theirs, and it was the colonizers' lands way before anything. Idolize Sympathy, I think I said that right, I don't know. It's agreement of someone about their feelings of one another, but still has the false image of which true identity of Native Americans. This is basically in Native American, or not Native American, but in American songs, some of the popular songs, we see, or we hear about Native Americans and how good and wholesome and everything is. And the artists or whoever wrote the songs are trying to make them show the Native Americans' identity and who they are as a as a as a culture, as the culture and the race. But it gives people these false looks, and these false looks as a Native American. I mean, it's all good intentions for the people who are trying to, all the Americans or colonizers or whoever, however you want to term them. Like in Elton John's song Indian Sunset, he had good intentions in some of the songs, or in that song, but he still used the slurs squaw or redman, still trying to make it where we're named redmen. Popular one is Colors of the Wind by Judy. As you see in this picture is Pocahontas. That's one basic movie that you'll see. It's the song actually makes it seem so realistic of what a Native American is and how they are and who they are as people. It's a good song. The movie was okay. Growing up, watching Pocahontas, as a Native American little girl, that's how I seen and I thought that's how Native Americans were, till I grew up and knowing the true meaning of who Pocahontas was and the whole story behind it, which was outrageous. Colors of the Wind, it gives a false identity, a false image of who Native people are. Yes, we are in tune with nature, and we know our history of that, but also it doesn't make our life simple. And that's what some people may assume, that, oh, Native Americans, their life is so simple, they're in tune with the nature, and it's just a bunch of stereotypes of who Native Americans are. The next one was, in the previous slide that I said, Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden's song, Run for the Hills, or Run to the Hills. It talks about what happens to natives, but still feels racist. Maybe looked at different to certain people, and still stereotypical. Most people think this is a racist song. It's just, if you listen to the song, it tells you about a part of the Native Americans and what they do, but it makes them seem like they're scared, they're cowardless, they're scared. And yeah, most at that time in that era, we were scared, but we also were. Most Indians fought for their land, and not all ran. And in that song, it seems like Indians, or the Native Americans, were depicted as we all ran from the soldiers. Culture.